Hey guys, you're watching C1. My name is AJ, and here we are at last. I know, it's the Q&A. I did say on episode 6 that episode 7 would be the Q&A, but then I got distracted, and then we started doing the Lighthouse, and it all sort of went from there. But episode 10, I think is a nice number to do a Q&A, isn't it? While we're mining and caving here. Obviously, like how the Q&A worked on the Let's Play, this Q&A, the audio is being recorded at a different time to the video. That way I could concentrate on caving, and at the same time I can concentrate on answering questions. So at least you get good footage, or at least caving footage that I'm not screaming every 5 seconds, and you get decent answers to the questions that you have asked. So I've got my video up here, or the comments to episode 6, where the questions were. And I'm going to just go through them, pick out some of them. There were so many questions, it was amazing. Thank you so much for the questions, and thank you even more for the amount of really good questions. Whenever people ask for Q&A, I'm always really worried that they're going to be really awfully boring questions. But there's some really good ones on there. The first one I'm going to start off with is from Akkad Hacker. If I pronounce your name wrong during the time of this Q&A, I apologise also. So they say, what is the funniest story with your pigs? Now, for those of you who either haven't been subscribed to me for a little while or have missed the videos where I've been talking about them, I recently had a litter of pigs. These pigs are not for farm. We're not a farm. I don't live on a farm. I just have a lot of really strange pets. One of which is pigs. Now, I don't really have any strange or funny happenings with the pigs that I've currently got. However, I do remember our first pig. The first pig that we ever got was a pig that was called Truffles. And we got this pig from another family that rescued it. It was an abandoned pig. You know how like some very awful people can abandon dogs and tie them to like a tree somewhere and just leave them? Well, the same thing happened with this pig, which is quite strange. But it was a lovely little pig. It was quite a big pig, in fact, by the time we got it, and it had quite a personality. In fact, it would sit for food like a dog would. You could tell this pig to sit, and it would literally sit down like a dog. And then you could feed it. A very gentle pig. However, one day, it managed to escape from its pen. Now, unfortunately, it didn't escape on the side that went into our garden. It instead broke out on the side that went to the main road. You guys know I live by a very busy main road. And it went that way. And we didn't know about it because we don't have eyes on this pig 24/7, obviously. Like, you don't keep an eye on your dog 24 hours a day. You pretty much trust it to be sitting down, laying, or being asleep, or playing nicely by itself. And we got a phone call. And answered the phone, and it was one of our only neighbours, really. We don't really have anybody living around us. And they said, your pig is in my front garden. And we were like, pardon? What? Yes, your pig's in my front garden. So anyway, we went out, and sure enough, the pig was in the front garden, turfing up his lawn. Now, this guy, our neighbour, is a millionaire, and he has a very nice front garden, very pristine grass, and it was tearing it up. It was hilarious and yet worrying at the same time. So, a pig is a little bit different to a dog. A dog, you could just, like, put a lead on its collar, and you could take it home. And if it didn't have a collar on, you could basically, most dogs you can pick up and you could carry. With a pig, it's a little bit different. These pigs can weigh sort of 15, 16 stone. Very heavy pigs. I don't know what that is in kilograms. If you work in kilograms, I apologise. Here in the UK, we work in stone and pounds. So, you can convert it yourself. Very heavy pig, though. And, it doesn't wear a collar, and it doesn't even have a neck to wear a collar. So how do you get it back? And you can't pick it up. You can't lead it. Yeah, it sat for food, but it didn't really come when you called its name. It was a tough one. So we were trying to sort of guide it back round. But then we've also got the problem of the only way into our property is from the main road. We don't have like a side gate, or we didn't at the time. We do now, but we didn't have the time. Have at the time. The only way in and out was through the main front gates of our property, which led straight out onto the main road. So we had to stop the traffic, and we had to sort of try and coach it round, and it wouldn't go. It was quite happy doing its own thing, eating all the grass and just looking around. Just a happy pig. And it's getting dark now. It literally been about 2 hours of trying to get this pig. At maximum, I don't know, 30 meters maximum. It wasn't that far to go, but you just can't push it. You can't push a pig. If you try to push a pig, it'll squeal and then run somewhere, and you know it'll never run where it should go. And we went through some ideas of getting a wheelbarrow and trying to roll the pig into the wheelbarrow so we could like wheel it round, and that didn't work. In the end, it did sort of walk back eventually after a long time, but that was pretty funny because all the people in the cars that was stopped on the main road were laughing, because obviously that's not something that you see every day, is it? So I thought that was a pretty good question to ask, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed that little story. Okay, from Isaac. If you could design a new mode of transport, what would it be? Would it have weapons, or can it fly, or can it turn invisible? Ooh, a new mode of transport. There's actually a lot of really cool modes of transport that I never knew existed until very recently. There's one I saw. I don't know where it is. It must be in like Japan or something like that. But there's one that I really like. That's two little hoops. Okay, so they're, I don't know how big should I say it was. I suppose the hoop was about the size of a dinner plate. If you look at your dinner plate, it's like that big, but it's got like a hole in the middle where you put your foot in. So you put your foot in one, you put your other foot in the other one, and then you're like standing very thin, very hard to balance at first, I expect, but you're sort of standing in this hoop. And then, you know how a Segway works? A Segway, whatever way you lean, it will go that way. Well, that's how these work. I'm sure you could probably find it on YouTube. I don't know what you would really search. Maybe like hoop or hoop wheels. I don't know. It's sort of like you sort of stood on it, or you stood in them the same way as you would stand on a skateboard. That's the sort of feet position that you would have. Really cool. But what would I have? Well, I like cars. I like to be able to sit down while I'm going somewhere. So I think it would have to be some sort of vehicle with a seat in it. I don't know how many seats. 1 or 2 seats. Well, I think maybe 1 seat for this one. Like 1 seat. Weapons. Weapons are cool, but it sort of restricts the ability to be able to use it, doesn't it? I don't know if I would have a weapon. No, I probably wouldn't have a weapon, but it'd be cool if it could fly and go invisible. If I could have both of those, I would. Like, you could use it as a car, but then if you got stuck in traffic, you could, like, maybe hover a little bit. Like, it doesn't really need to go really high, does it? You could just, like, go a little bit off the ground, like, above the cars, and then fly all over all the other traffic. And then if you wanted to, I don't know, if you wanted to go somewhere that you weren't meant to go, maybe you could go invisible. I don't know if that's really necessary. I just hate getting stuck in traffic, but I do like driving, so I think I'd probably just stick with the fly ability. I think that's a good one. What is my favourite block in Minecraft? From Ty Bond. Favorite block in Minecraft. I really like spruce. I think sprucey. I want to get a t-shirt with sprucey bit on it. I think that'd be pretty funny. Yeah, I'm gonna go with spruce wood. I just like it. It's a very dark wood. I really like that the color of that brown, the shade of that brown, and it seems to go with a lot of other blocks. It seems to go with more blocks than oak goes with. So the next one is from Rory. He says, "What is my most embarrassing moment?" Now there's a few. I could do a whole Q&A on that question, I think. I think probably my most, or one of the at least the one I can remember. I actually told my fiance. I nearly said my girlfriend. It's fiance now, isn't it? I told my fiance literally only a couple of days ago, and I used to be very queasy when I saw blood, especially my own blood. I wasn't really that bothered about seeing other people's blood, but if I like cut my finger, this is when I was younger, when I was like, I don't know, probably up to the age of 13, really, which is a little bit silly because it's only blood. But I used to feel very, very queasy when I saw blood, and I was in primary school, or first school. I was about 9 or 10 or something like that. And we used to have badges that corresponded to the colour of class that you were in. My class... Oops, I hit my mic. I'm sorry, guys. That would have made a really horrible noise. I apologise. Is that better? I think that's better. Our classes were colours. So there was like purple, which was the lowest class. And then like, I don't know, yellow, green, blue, then red. I think it was something like that. And our badges had that colour on, so the teachers and everybody around the school knew what class you were in. And I decided to take my badge off and play with it, and it had a little pin on the back. And I pricked my finger. I pricked my finger with it, and my finger started to bleed. And instantly, I felt very, very ill. Now, to some people of you guys watching this, you might find this that very, very silly, and it is very silly. But it's something that some people have. It's something that is unavoidable if you're born with the ability to be feeling sick. Well, that's the wrong word. The ability, isn't it? If you're born with the fear, I suppose it's a fear of blood. At first, there's nothing really that you can do about it. And when I pricked my finger, I felt very, very ill. And then everything went black and white. I lost all the colour from my vision. And that's quite scary at first. And then, because everything was all black and white, everything started spinning, like as if you were really drunk. Everything started spinning, and which obviously makes you feel even more sick and ill. And then I passed out. And obviously passing out at school is probably one of the most embarrassing things that you could ever do. Luckily, I suppose it was at primary school, which is a little bit more forgiving than high school. If you passed out at high school, I think you would probably get the pee taken out of you for quite some time, wouldn't you? But yeah, I don't know if that is sort of embarrassing to me. I don't know if it's going to be embarrassing to everybody, but that's sort of my most embarrassing moment. I love these Q&As. I like these sort of story Q&As. I know we've only gone through like 3 questions and it's like 13 minutes in, 14 minutes in. I apologise for that, but at least we'll get more questions for future Q&A episodes. What's my favourite flavour of ice cream? I don't really like ice cream. If I have to have it, it has to be like the really Mr. Whippy style ice cream, like the ones that you get at the beach. But I don't really like ice cream at all. Bit of a shame, really, isn't it? What school did I go to? I'm not revealing the name of the school because I live relatively close to the school and I don't want you guys to stalk me. Oh yeah, there was. I don't know if I could find the question. If I find who said this question, then I'll say it later on in the episode. But I did see a question when I was going through was what would happen if a subscriber or a viewer knocked on the front door of your house. Now, again, if I see who actually asked this question, I'll thank the person. But I don't. If whoever it was that asked this, thank you, because it's a very interesting topic. It's been done not to me, but it's been done to a couple of YouTubers that I watch, and it's a tough one. It's a tough one because if the subscriber or the viewer has been clever in a way, clever enough to find out where you live and to knock on your door, then I would have to say that they're quite a brave person, because that's a pretty brave thing to do. On one hand, it's a brave thing to do, and on the same hand, it's also a very nice thing to do, sort of, in a way, to be able to talk to the YouTuber that you watch on a one-on-one, to actually see him, at his or her house. On the other hand, I would never recommend anybody doing it. If you find out where a YouTuber lives, I highly recommend that you don't go round, that you don't go to their house. In a way, it's a little bit, I don't know if it's disrespectful. You're sort of invading their privacy. Online on YouTube, they're in the public eye, but when they're in their own home, that's their own home. The same as you wouldn't like somebody who you don't know personally knocking on your door. If you don't know the subscriber personally, then it's sort of a little bit rude, a little bit disrespectful. So I don't know what I would do. I think, I don't know, because some people even will call the police, because it's, if you come over uninvited, then you're bordering on trespassing in a way. I don't know. I really don't know what I would do in that situation. Hopefully, I will never have to deal with the situation. But I don't know. It's a really tough one. I wouldn't be impressed, I think. Although I would understand that it was meant to be a kind gesture, and it was meant to be a happy gesture from the viewer. I don't know. I wouldn't really appreciate it too much. I hit my mic again. I'm sorry. I was itching my chest. Have you ever been took to hospital for something really bad? This is from Respawn Despawn. Yes, I have. I don't really want to talk about it too much, but I became very ill at one point, and it was actually, if I didn't become very ill, I would never have started this channel. I would have never started YouTube, or I'd never had the opportunity to start it, because if I didn't become very ill, I would have probably still been working for someone, working a normal job. Obviously, YouTube isn't my full-time job. It's just a hobby. But I work for myself outside of YouTube. So if this thing that happened that made me very ill didn't happen, I would never start my channel. So in a way, it's not really a blessing, is it? But as they say, when one door closes, another door opens, and that's what happened with it. I will go through it at some point. I just don't want to cover it as a passing question. I'd rather dedicate an episode to it sometime, or dedicate a video to it sometime. But yeah, we'll talk about that in the future. It's a good question. Sorry I couldn't fully answer it. Well, I suppose I did answer it. I said, yes, I have, but that's about it. I have a question from Nate. Have you ever had a persistent and or memorable scam phone call? So I get a lot of cold callers. I get a lot of the people that phone up your phone when you're busy recording, or you're busy watching TV, or you're busy eating, or, well, you're always busy when when you get a cold caller come through, and they're always ridiculous things. Always about, I don't know, PPI banking, or you've got the chance to win an iPad, or Does your house need double glazing? And I find them really annoying. I find them really obnoxious, and I find them really rude. And I end up sometimes getting very rude with the person who's called me, which I think I have a reason to be. I don't know. I like each time I get a call, and each time I am unfortunate enough to answer the call, I do like to wind the person up. I remember one time they said that if you answer our questionnaire, we'll send you a phone. Now, obviously, this is a scam, or there's going to be something to it. Maybe you get put into a draw. You get put into a raffle to win the phone from answering it. But they're not going to send everybody out a phone just for answering a few questions. And the questions were like, postcode, what energy company are you with, what internet company are you with, how much do you spend on internet bills. Basically, they were doing a survey which they could then pass on to other cold callers that might possibly suit what you would need. Like, I don't know, if you spend quite a lot on internet, then you'll get a lot of cold callers saying that you can lower your internet prices and etc, etc. So they said, yeah, let's fill out this survey, answer the questions, and we'll give you a phone. And I said, I've already got a phone. I don't need another phone. My phone's fine. Why would I want another phone? I'll tell you what I do want, though, is I'd be happy to take the money that the phone is worth. So if the phone is worth £30, instead of sending me the phone, just send me £30. And obviously they didn't like that. They were like, no, we can't do that. We'll send you the phone. I said, no, I don't want the phone. I've already got a phone. And obviously this went round and round and round. Why can't you send me the money? It's the equivalent. In fact, I'm saving you a job of having to buy the phone in the first place. Just send me the money. And eventually they hang up on me. And most of them now, whenever I get the cold callers come through, most of the time they hang up before I hang up, because I just really like winding them up. Another one that you can do is answer the phone and they say, is, I don't know, someone there. And even if it's your name, like, is AJ there? And you say, who is it? And they say, oh, this is Bob from the heating agency, wondering if we can lower your heating bills. And you say, oh, yes, very interested in that. Please hold on, I'll just go and get him. And even if it's you, just say, yeah, I'll go and get him. Put the phone down on the table and just carry on with what you were doing. So if you were playing Minecraft, just leave the phone there and carry on playing Minecraft. And then every I don't know, couple of minutes, like, don't go too long, because if you go too long, they'll hang up. But like maybe a minute later, pick up the phone and say, oh, they're just coming, I'm just getting them, they were just outside, they're on their way in. And then put the phone down again. Don't hang up, just place the phone down and then carry on with what you're doing again. And then like another minute or so later, pick up the phone and say, yeah, you still there? And they say, yep. And say, yeah, they're coming, they're on their way. Please hold on, we want to talk about this. And if you keep saying, I really want to lower our bills, they're going to stay on the phone because they think that they've got a sale coming. And you can see how long you can go for. Maybe if you can get them on for 15 minutes, that's going to be a pretty good distance, isn't it? It's so funny. I really don't. It makes a really horrible cold caller type of call a little bit interesting. Okay, from Richard. He says, what was your first video game? My first video game. I've been playing games for longer than I can remember. My dad used to have what was basically one of the first computers / first ever game consoles ever. Before the Nintendo 64, before computers and stuff like that, there was something called the Amiga. And they used to run on floppy disks. However, I can't I remember playing them. And I've still got them. And in fact, last year I actually got the Amigas back out and started playing all those old games again. They're very, very bad games now. like going back to them, it was horrible. It sort of ruined the nostalgia a little bit, because I remember them being awesome. And when I played them, they just weren't awesome. But I think probably the first memorable game and sort of console, if you like, that was mine, is I got the original Game Boy. When Game Boys first came out, they were like £400. They were more expensive than an Xbox One is now, or a PlayStation 4. Game Boy. Now these were quite large, really, for a handheld console. They were black and white. They had no colour on them. And I got a game called Tetris free with it. And I really did enjoy Tetris. I suppose it's not the funnest game in the world now, but at the time it was a really cool game. Like, it was sort of the first thing that had sort of ever come around. Shortly after Tetris, which was my first game that I owned, that was mine, was Tetris. Shortly after that, I think I got Pokemon Red. But Tetris was my first video game that I owned. How old am I? This is still from Richard. How old am I? I'm 22. I'm just going to answer something. What part of Europe do you live in? I live in the UK. I live in the east of the UK, a place called East Anglia. How many pets have you had in your life? Hundreds. I've had hundreds of pets. That's no joke. That's not an exaggeration. I've had goats, I've had ducks, I've had chickens, I've had geese, I've had emus, I've had pigs, I've had dogs, I've had tortoises, I've had snails, I've had turtles, I've had, did I say goats? I've had donkeys, I've had rats, like pet rats, I've had guinea pigs, I've had rabbits, I've had hamsters, I've had snakes, I can't even remember. I've had budgies, I've had finches, I've had lovebirds, I've had all sorts. Absolutely, there's hundreds of them. Doves, pigeons, everything. Pretty much any animal that you can think of, I've nearly had. What's my favourite colour? My favourite colour is... I don't really have a favourite colour. I remember when I was younger, I used to really like the colour yellow. But as I've got older, I don't have a favourite colour anymore. I like all the colours for different reasons, depending on what other, colours go with at the time. Like Minecraft, you have to choose colours depending on what area you're in. So for that, I probably don't have for that reason, I probably don't have a favourite colour. How are we doing for time? Oh, wow. 27 minutes. All right, I'm going to have to leave it there. I might do another Q&A next episode. If you guys want me to do another Q&A next episode, then I will. I've also got a Q&A for the Zonocraft coming up soon that we'll use these questions on to do a Q&A on that series. For Zonocraft, I need to do some caving on that to get some more resources. We've got a lot of questions to go on this list, and they're really good questions, so I would really like to answer as many as I can. Maybe, I'm not going to do anything for 40,000 subscribers. I know that's going to be coming up fairly soon. 35,000 subscribers was hit fairly recently. 40,000 subscribers is sort of a bit of a random number to do anything with. But for 50,000 subscribers, maybe we'll do something. Or maybe we'll do a Q&A for 40,000 subscribers, because I've got a plan of unveiling something for 50,000 subscribers. It all depends on if it goes ahead. So maybe for 40,000 subscribers, we can do maybe an hour-long Q&A or something like that. Does that sound like a plan? If that sounds like a plan, then let me know in the comment section below. I would really appreciate it. If you guys did enjoy it, then please hit that like button. If you haven't already, please subscribe. We shall see you in the next episode. Bye!